I'll show you how to do it after.
All right, the time is 6:31. I'll call this meeting, our work session of the mayor and council to order. We'll go over tonight's regular agenda. Ceremonial matters, we have the resolution honoring the Snellville Police Department. I think Councilmember Randall emailed that to everyone. Then we also have the volunteer year for the senior center. We're gonna be here tonight?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Minutes, can you discuss the minutes?
Yes, we do.
Okay, what are we discuss?
I think Mr. Powell has some input on this as well.
I have some draft ones, but they probably need to be executive session discussion.
Okay.
I mean, that's all I got.
Minutes or are
That's
they
all I
regular
got,
minutes?
executive session. That's all the comments I
Okay.
have on executive session.
All right, so what about the December 8th and January 12th?
December 8th, under old business CUP 14-01, second paragraph, it was with conditions plural, not singular. In the next paragraph, it should read, there's a motion to amend to, which should be a motion to amend the. And then at the end, there were no comments made during public comment. So all of those people who commented should be moved up under the section during which they commented.
That's for the December 8th.
Yes.
And so we discussed this at the previous work session. Have you sat down and talked to Ms. Richardson between now, our last meeting and today? To tell her to...
No, I've been doing some research because I looked at the, I could have sworn there were comments made at the end of the meeting, but I looked, finally got a copy of the video and they were not.
Okay, what about the 12th?
The 12th. I didn't see anything of significance in the 12th.
So we can go forward with the 12th?
Hmm?
So we can go forward with the 12th?
Mhm.
Okay.
Unless anybody else has.
All right, we'll have no invited guests tonight. We'll have a report from Ms. Ferris. That's correct, sir? No, so I didn't know if y'all met. And then Mr. Sanders.
I do. I've got a, one thing with the, it's on the work session, the sidewalk update for Oak and 78. We're going to be working on acquiring very little right-of-way, but quite a bit of easement, construction easement for the work. And I just want to announce that publicly, that if any property owners along those two routes have any questions, to give me a call. We're working with Tommy Carroll to give us a proposal on the easement and right-of-way acquisition. Right now, we'll go over this in the work session, but we have probably 95% of the survey is done. And I think they've done a very good job of giving us some good information. We see where our issues are going to be. And they've already started on construction plans for bid. So it's moving along, but we'll go over that a little more specifically. But that's one thing I wanted to just make public. So if anybody on those two routes had a question, give us a call.
And using Tommy Carroll, I know is that something, we don't have to bid that, do we? We can just use that from them?
It's, as long as it falls in the category of professional services. Makes a difference what he does, but usually what Mr. Chair is doing is professional service like that.
I went back and looked. He did the LCI work. There was not a bid for that.
Okay.
I think he did some work on another project to finish out something. I didn't see a bid for that.
You can bid, you can always bid those, but the reason people don't is just the quality of service
Right.
that's delivered. So,
Right.
you're not looking for the low bidder on some of that.
Yep.
Okay. We then have several first readings. The first one is 1501. This is the church Wisteria and the old gym. Anybody have any questions about that for tonight? Jason, anything you need to tell us about that tonight?
Nope.
So if I can have a motion to waive and put that on our January CUP 1502. This is also for a church, this one down at the Fountain Square that they talked about, I think Mr. Smith alluded to last time. So anybody have any questions for Jason about that tonight? Put that on for Brian. And then the next first reading is for the amendments of the ordinance, the solicitation ordinance. Can you discuss that tonight?
I believe, I hear my colleagues calling it a little housekeeping. This is a section that was written by the FBI, and they want us to incorporate it into our ordinance. It's their word, we did not put any verbiage in there, it's theirs, and we inserted it into the solicitation ordinance to take care of the NCIC check on people.
So this is the first reading, we'll have a motion to waive and put it on a February 9th. New business, we have the resolution, Mr. Powell provided us this afternoon, no, I'm sorry, we have the election of the mayor pro tem. Any discussion on that? Then we have the resolution, Mr. Powell provided us this afternoon for the qualifying for the 2015 election. Mr. Powell, any thoughts about that?
The critical ingredients are setting the qualifying fee. The qualifying fee numbers need to be, we need to verify those. This 3% of your wages for council or mayor. And I picked these up off the advertisement in 11, and I don't think they've changed your salary since that day. So that's required to be done before February 2nd. That's the critical ingredient. The advertisement, which is the last item 5, incorporates that. So you got to print it and advertise it. And so those are the 2 mandatory steps at this point. You've got to train your superintendents and everybody from that point down. There is a mandatory training process, so you need to be about the business of getting those people appointed and getting the training done. There's turnover in the election process this year.
Additional discussion? All right, that brings us to our work session agenda. Any correspondence we need to review? City attorney's report?
I have nothing other than the report on executive session stuff.
Okay. Revision to the title loan ordinance. This is something I think we postponed from a previous meeting already on planning department. So,
Yes.
Mr. Powell, you want to?
It is just, it's really cleaning up and the definition of loan office. And this comes right out of the settlement of the case. And so the standards are being implemented to redefine a number of items in that financial banking area. And the small loan office is being defined as a GILA regulated entity with conditions. We got distance requirements in it. It would be ready for first read, I think, at your convenience.
So it's tightening the definitions, is that?
It is. You just had a loan office with no definition, really. And that's where our dispute came from with these guys. So just cleaning that up.
Does anybody have any questions or need any time before we put it on the next agenda for a first reading?
This, just so everybody's clear, this really, we settled the case, but your planning department drafted this change, which is really good.
Detective Seaborn, do we need to?
We have, what we have right now, I would say is a first version of an app. You can go to iTunes and download Snellville app. There is an update coming within the next, I think Kevin said 2 or 3
They
weeks.
say 2 weeks, but, you know.
Which will work out all the glitches, but it gives you something to look at now.
It's a new version that's easier to deal with, and so if you download it now, when the new version comes, it will upload to the new version automatically.
So if we were to put out a press release and put it on our website, we should wait.
We should
about
wait,
2 to 3 weeks.
Yes, definitely, that's what I'm recommending, thank you.
On that title loan ordinance, have we gotten a draft of that?
We just prepared it,
Okay.
sent it to Tony to bless it within the last week, so we'll send it out, I guess, with the next agenda package, or we can send it out beforehand, so you can look at it.
I just assumed it was in the packet, but it was on the
Yeah,
agenda.
no.
That's-
Can you email that to us tomorrow, Jason?
Sure.
Mr. Sanders, do we need to put this on an agenda, or will you automatically just put it out then when it's ready?
Which one?
The city app.
We'll, no problem with keeping it on the agenda, and I'll keep updating on the work session. And same with item C there on Rocket IT. We have pricing, which we've certified, and we're talking to our current vendor, trying to get competitive pricing to see where we are, make sure the rocket prices are in the ballpark. So we should have those, I'd like to keep that on the agenda. We should have those in the next week, and so we'll have a good comparison.
Land bank, I'm also gonna postpone again, I didn't have a chance to get through the documentation. If I were a mayor essay contest, it's something that GMA is doing, is for 6th graders. They're sending out the paperwork, and so I plan on going to the 2 middle schools and letting them know if you know anybody that's outside of Grace Snell or Snellville Middle School that would want to enter it. The deadline is in March, and it's on the GMA website for information. Misdemeanor private property service. Did you give everybody a copy of
I have not given anybody.
this? Okay. Oh, you gave me this, oh, thank you. I put this on, I asked this to be on the agenda. There was a case that came out of the Georgia Supreme Court that had to do with not being able to toll misdemeanor sentences anymore. Tolling means if they're not paying or they're not reporting, you could toll their sentence, you could stop it, so that they couldn't just skip out for a period of time and be done with probation. So they couldn't stop reporting for 6 months and not pay, and then their probation be up and they never had a report or ever pay, that you could toll it. And now they're saying you can't do that with misdemeanor sentences. But some other issues came out of that regarding contracts with probation services, and that's why I asked it be put on here. I think Mr. Sanders and Mr. Powell may have some information. I'm going to leave it up to Judge Lang, and then ask that it be put on our actual regular agenda for the next meeting so that we can deal with those contract issues. So I'll leave that to Mr. Powell and Mr. Sanders to ask questions.
So what's gonna go on our meeting agenda? We have to change our contract with PPS?
I think we're gonna look into whether or not we want to bid it, or whether we need to approve a contract with PPS. And I think they'll send us some information after tonight.
We'll talk to the judge too.
Pop-up market update.
That's the, I had asked Eric to try to refamiliarize everybody with the concept by sending that email out, I think last week, but he has a short report tonight to kind of get a little bit more into the concept.
And before I actually jump into the public market banking, Mayor, Council, I think it's a neat opportunity we have through the public market, but let me back up just for 2 seconds to the town green and that construction so we keep you in the loop on that one. The first request for proposals advertisement went out Friday. Bid packages started being picked up today. We've got at least one picked up that I saw and helped with, so that is moving forward. We will bring forward to you, the bids are opened on February 9th at 1 o'clock, and it is our intent to bring to you to the work session and to the meeting that night to approve the bidder that's selected so we can move forward. The timeline is pretty tight, which is why I want to keep you kind of in the loop on that. We need to get through all of the construction processes and give them a notice to proceed so they can start by February 24th. That gives them 90 days to finish on May 24th. Anybody who knows where the beach blast is 6 days later. So I want you to know that we have our eye on that date and we're working through and we'll need to help that by dealing with it on February 9th. Now the pop-up market, which is fun. Rather than write a report, I put some pictures at your place. This is the Krog Street Market. This is the Krog Street Market. It is one example of a potential public market that we could use to model some of the stuff that we do after. I went down there Friday afternoon, looked around, got some of the food there, just saw what was there, some exciting things you can do there. The purpose of the pop-up public market is to model to the community what the DDA is potentially looking at as a first step in development on the Wisteria Square property. And the goal would be to, on that day, it's a one-day kind of pop-up or meet-up event, a sample of a public market. So we will be looking to create all those spaces you see in those pictures to create a buzz in the community. And this is going to be a very broadly involved group. We have a number of high schoolers in South Gwinnett that are already engaged. We've reached out to Brookwood, Grayson, and Shiloh as other places that they want. The schools have expressed an interest in having their kids engaged as well. We also are reaching out on the other end of the spectrum to the Gwinnett Senior Group, Senior Services, and the Snellville Senior Services. So we'll have both ends and everybody in between in that process involved. Currently, we've got about 16 people that are part of the initial process. We're looking obviously for a lot more folks to be involved in that. And on that day, on the Wisteria Square property, we will pop up with tents and other things, some market like that to demonstrate to the community. So I always find too, the best thing to do is answer some questions related to that because it's a little bit confusing, so let me look a minute for that. But that's what it is to demonstrate in a one-day thing what the public market would look like.
So I saw a date of February 6th, but it's actually May that this would occur.
The original date that we put in the application was May 6th or 9th, yeah. When we started engaging with South Gwinnett High School and the high schools, they all said May 16th was a better date if we wanted their involvement, so that's what we did.
And will the construction be done?
Will construction on the LCI? Yes, it'll be done earlier than that.
It'll be closed, so that's going to be what our spring looks like, close deadline.
But Eric mentioned kind of the key word there, demonstrate. It is kind of a demo project, showing what's possible in your town. I mean, think about, obviously on a larger scale, but the Seattle Fish Market or what they're doing at the Ponce City Market, the old Sears store down on Ponce de Leon, or what's down on Auburn at Grady, the Atlanta City Market. I mean, there are a lot of examples out there, and this is just getting people excited about what could happen in our town.
And the grant is a $15,000 grant that we will use to pay for all of the things that we do for the market, to set up the tents.
I did notice in one of the letters to, I guess, the ARC, was that we committed, or we pledged, a 25% match. Is that for this particular?
Let me backtrack. So in that application, the ARC did a combination application process. So there were 5 different things you could apply for.
Right.
One of them was the tactical urbanism, which we've been funded at. One of them that we applied for was the technical assistance, which they've agreed to give us. The third piece was an LCI major update. I don't remember what the other 2 were. But that LCI major update is what that match is for.
Okay,
And
so it doesn't have anything to do with the pop-up market?
Well, it does only in the sense that since we committed that money to the LCI update, we don't have to commit money to the pop-up.
Okay, okay.
Otherwise, we would have had.
I just didn't know if we'd moved from 15 to 20,000
No.
or whatever.
We've earmarked all we did in there, which,
Almost.
since we had committed to that, they used that money as kind of our contribution to the overall thing.
I think the regional stormwater was part of that.
Yes, it is.
And we
Right.
budgeted for that match.
Right, right. Okay. Good job.
Thank you.
Oak Road and Highway 78 update.
I don't have things I can really display. These are in my office. If you're interested in looking at the survey, the information on the on the sidewalk project. Clark, Patterson, and Lee, as I said, they're about 95% done. They provided that scale, but also in the critical areas, like where we turn from Mountain View and head down towards our park. They've blown it up a little bit to help us talk to property owners. Where we're going to lose trees in the right-of-way due to sidewalk construction, they wanted to be able to tell people, you know, here's the landscaping that we're going to lose. We're going to put back, but here's what you're going to lose during construction. Just trying to provide the best information that we can. They've marked right-of-way, they've marked easement, they've made very good progress. And it's just something that I've made a few calls talking to people. It's a sidewalk project, but when you think about Oak Road, for instance, there are two major culverts going under Oak Road. Rather than doing a sidewalk with a big retaining wall and extra drainage that goes into people's property, riprap, pipe extension and everything, there's the potential to drop the sidewalk down and do more like a trail. Make it a little more of a path than just a sidewalk, which really lessens the impact on those two property owners. And they've given me blown-ups on that, so we'll have a chance to go out and talk to those folks. We already know the property next to Oak Road, the Brownlee property, is something that they're interested in talking to us. Miss Brownlee has passed away recently. Talked to Mr. Williams about that the other day. And that's one of those pieces where an extension of that culvert and that drainage would really cause a problem on their property, and it would be much to their benefit and our benefit to have the sidewalk drop down into a more interesting trail or a path. So Clark Patterson has taken all that into account, and I think they've provided us good information to work towards acquiring that and working well with the citizens and the property owners. I think it's important to make that public tonight. If anybody sees us on TV, newspaper, we really want to start the conversation with folks. It may be too early right now until we get more construction plans to hold a public meeting, but we found out on the LCI by holding 2 or 3 property owner meetings, it really encouraged communication, and it's helped out a lot, I think. And speaking of the LCI, I hope you all have noticed the street lighting going in. It's nice to see some vertical construction, and I think, you know, they're going to look good.
And so what is the time frame for Oak Road construction?
On Oak Road, obviously we'd love to get the Main Street sidewalk done sometime. We'd love to do it before school starts, but I think we're really shooting for the first semester of school, and then sometime in the spring, probably mid to late spring next year for finishing Oak Road.
And what about 78?
78, that's what I was saying. We'd love to get it finished this year before school starts back in August. I don't know that we can do that. It's probably more realistic to have it done sometime in the first school semester, so the kids could take advantage of
Funding
it.
for that's the match, both of those are matches.
That's correct.
But is the funding there? Have we collected enough money to pay for that, or
No,
are we on track for
This funding is part of the set-aside.
Is this a set
We
aside, not
draw
match?
that down from the county. We have a contact at the county, and the county's been great to work with on this. And I've also put something in front of you on a couple of other county projects that we can talk about if we have time.
And Butch, I have a couple of contacts in that Colony Oaks, is it Colony Oaks Circle?
Colony Circle.
Subdivision, but if you need to help get the word out to neighbors,
Okay.
they might be able to help and do some of the public relations.
Do they have an HOA?
They have an email, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they stay connected through email and
Because
things.
we've worked through stormwater on a couple of projects with some folks, and I think we made everybody happy over there. The people stayed happy. Most of the people were happy to begin with to see us, but we worked with one lady, and I think she was satisfied at the end. So please get those to me,
Yeah.
because,
If you gave them some information, they could go ahead and start putting it out to their
Okay.
troops.
that's good, that's good.
Solicitation ordinance.
I don't know that I can add any more than I did.
Georgia City's Week distinction downtown. Ms. Richardson brought this to my attention. It's April 19th through 25th is distinction designation downtown. It is Georgia City's Week. They have GMA is sponsoring scavenger hunts and different events. I don't know, they've asked us to respond to them if we are planning anything. So I don't know if we want to plan anything for this week, if we want to have someone look at that, or if we want to just pass.
Is the essay contest part of Georgia City's now?
No.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Separate. Okay.
They are, if we're interested in participating, GMA will send us an activities kit. The theme of Georgia Cities is Destination Downtown, and they're doing a scavenger hunt as the event that they're sponsoring for the first 20 cities that are interested. They'll give them materials for the scavenger hunt.
How late in April is it this year?
The 19th through 25th, they suggest, events that they suggest are things such as a 5K through your downtown, for elementary schools, a coloring contest, for high schools, essay contest, holding open houses at city facilities. So I don't know, maybe we want to ask the art commission to look into this.
In the DDA, it'd be good to have a conversation with the DDA, because we might even be completing the LCI at that time. It'd be nice to have a ribbon cutting.
I was gonna say, if it's a scavenger hunt, we could have them look for a construction tractor, a backhoe. See if they can find it.
It may be good potentially for the pop-up market, since it's right before the market. So I don't know if you want to commit to this or not.
Yeah, let's come in.
See if we can find some scavengers. That's a good idea.
Will you talk to the arts commission?
We got the little guys around for the kids.
You see where
Yep.
Judy resigned first.
So I will send in the report and we'll see what happens from there. Proclamation resolution by the governing body of the city of Snellville. Mr. Howard.
Okay, couple things. I'll just take the next two and kind of lump them together. I sent Aaron Council some information this morning, and I guess not a whole lot of conversation tonight about it, but I want y'all, if you would, to consider these two things, one meaning proclamations and resolutions, and the other meaning the discussion and implementation of some policy regarding meeting minutes and distribution. I think it's two critical areas that we need, especially the minutes. I think we need to have some very defined policy to follow so that we can get back on track with that. And I would ask that each of you just take a little bit of time over the next couple of weeks and review it and email me back and forth, and let's see if we can answer questions or come up with good policy decisions and implement those in 2 weeks at our next meeting. So I know I just sent it to y'all, basically put it on the agenda, but sent you some stuff this morning. So
I read through it, I didn't have any issues with anything.
I have an issue with the last thing. Any correction to the minutes requested by a member of the governing body will be made. You know, it's not the prerogative of one member of the governing body to change something, so it has to be a consensus. You can't just say, you know, what if you said, this person said blue, and I said, no, they said yellow, and we have to go back and watch the video, so it's not, just because you tell the clerk to change something doesn't mean she automatically needs to change it if it's inaccurate, so.
well, with regard to things like that, punctuation, spelling, things like that, I don't think there's any consensus for
Well, I
stuff
think
like
there would be
that.
a natural step that somebody makes a suggestion that gets put in and sent to everybody else to approve before you.
Right, yeah, I would think I would think,
You know, that's a very valid point.
right, absolutely, absolutely.
And I
I
think
mean,
it'd be common sense. to do this.
I don't have any issue with delineating some kind of words that describe that, because, I mean, because we're all responsible for correct and proper minutes, so I wouldn't want to put another member of this body in jeopardy because I made a decision that was wrong. If we all make a wrong decision, then we're all culpable, but just, I mean, I don't disagree with that at all, so.
And then the first three things, are you saying that these are you saying that the minutes are not being posted currently?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying we do not have a posted, published policy with regard to following it on a regular, continuing, long-term basis. We do not have a published policy for this.
So I think the first 3 steps are already being done.
So it seems to me, it's just a matter of.
Except we still don't have a September 10th specially called meeting minutes posted. It's been over 60 days since they were approved.
Okay, well, it's my understanding that, perhaps we need to elaborate on the policy as far as, we can do it internally as far as access to the website and passwords and things like that, so that Ms. Richardson can post those, because right now, it's my understanding that once we approve those, they go to another staff person, and it's that other staff person's responsibility to put them up on the website, so, if we're gonna hold one person responsible for that, then they need to make sure that they have the resources so that they can fulfill that position.
Well, the person that's responsible for it has that responsibility.
Well,
Not if
sometimes
it's
it's
responsible to make
difficult.
sure they're published, so she should have that authority to go on and do it.
Yep, whoever it is.
People should, but sometimes people don't, so we just need to make sure that they do.
Well, and that's what this does. I think this is just a matter of getting it on record that this is how we're going to do things. This is what the expectation is.
No, excuse me.
I think Phyllis and Erica work well together.
Continue.
But I think the point's well made. If by state law, the clerk, the person is supposed to make sure they're there, and the clerk should have the ability to make sure they're there by being able to go on there and post them. Not, have the clerk get in trouble because the IT department didn't follow through on something that the clerk had requested to be completed.
And this is another reason for doing this exercise, is to actually delineate all of those functions and all those requirements. It's very necessary to do this. So,
Discussion of the election. Mr. Woods.
Basically, this was just my first, I knew that February 2nd was coming up, I knew we had to do something else. So when this came up, then Mr. Powell saw it, his office saw it, came with me and said that it's a little bit more than just a discussion, that we had to have a resolution and get everything set up, so that's all. But I will have to amend the, when we get into the regular agenda on the regular meeting, I will ask to amend and have it as a new item, the resolution that Mr. Powell prepared.
Isn't that?
it's in the business
It
already.
is all, okay, I'm sorry,
It's already on there,
yeah, I see it.
Item B.
We'll get it there.
So that's all the discussion at work session.
The purpose of the exec session.
Can we hear about what these maps are?
I'm sorry, I thought they were the sidewalks.
No.
It's just a red light around.
Yeah, that's, I think we're going to start the work session an hour earlier next time. And this is your first homework assignment, to traverse the intersections of North at Vars and North at Ridgedale. The county, I said we're working now with the county. They have provided 2 different alternatives for those 2 intersections. One is a signalized intersection, just like the current one at Pinehurst in the morning. And the other is a roundabout, or a traffic circle. I'm an advocate for traffic circles, but you're really going to have to look close here in looking at the engineering and the work that would be required. Even though both types of construction are roughly the same amount, 900,000 to $1 million, we are responsible for the right of way. And the right-of-way is significantly more in the roundabout traffic circle configuration. And it also blocks one driveway entirely, where we would have to provide access, and one partially. So it's, I told the county DOT we would have an answer for them on which way to jump early in February. I'd like to put this on the work schedule for discussion next time. We talk about it more between now and then, but it's something we really need to consider. And right now, I'm leaning towards recommending the signalized intersections. I have not talked to our representative on the Citizens Advisory Committee, who, like me, is an advocate of traffic circles.
I think the acquisition's going to be horrendous.
Well, you have to, it not only is potentially very expensive, but it slows things down. And, you know, the idea with this short-term splosh was to get projects that were done and could be sold for the next splosh election. And so that pushes us towards the signalized
So
intersection.
if we went to the signalized intersection, what's the probability of doing the mastheads instead of the overhead wires?
I think, I talked, and I think that, I mean, we're gonna be looking like the Pinehurst intersection. And,
That's no fun at all.
what's that?
That's no fun at all.
Well,
They were gonna do that, they were replacing the red light at North and Wisteria years ago. And they were just gonna replace it with the overhead wires. And we talked and got them, the city committed the funds, the additional funds needed to pay for the mast arms. Can we look and see what kind of pricing that would be?
we are doing that. And we aren't through negotiating that.
But if we put mast arms there and not on the rest of the red lights at North, then it's kind of like, what's the point?
Well, we've done what we can, I didn't realize, I didn't even think about it at the Pinehurst.
But what Wisteria's done,
Wisteria's done.
Yeah,
a set of lights would be Pinehurst.
Pinehurst. And we might just have to wait till that turns over again.
Well, it's a pretty simple signalization. I mean, we aren't talking about, this is like the CFI.
Right.
So we'll come up with a price between now and then.
I mean, I don't remember what it was, but I was thinking it was like an additional 10 to 15,000 for us to do the mast arms for the overhead wires at North.
So it's more than that.
Y'all talked about a North Road overlay
Mm-hmm.
and mast arms and sidewalks are really good projects for LCIs. I mean, those are, you know, and they would go in and replace existing structures. I mean, that could be a source of funding.